honestly, I don't have a specific answer or reason to those questions. Honestly, I was just really unmotivated to make new videos and upload them. I had just been busy with school and working, and I just didn't really feel like filming videos or uploading them at that time. I barely felt like doing my schoolwork, honestly, but we're back now, and I decided, since I'd been on such a long hiatus, why not come back with a book that's been requested by everybody for me to continue, and this book is Underground. It's also the next book on in the order that I created to follow. So, today's video will be reading chapter 19 from the book titled Underground. So, let's get started. Sean's opponent, who appears from the opposite side of double doors Marvin and I had walked through, is more like an animal than a man. His face is scarred like a warrior in the Viking movies that Dad forced me to watch once or twice on a Friday night. The shaved sides of his head have patterns engraved right around the back of his skull. His terrifying form walks powerfully through a stunned crowd to some heavy metal rock song I can't seem to be able to focus on. His tattoos are all kinds of daggers, spiders, weapons, and monstrous-like shapes, which make me sink further into my seat. He's a giant, even beyond both Sean and Eddie's towering heights. His body is wide and solid. He's toned, but not in the same defined way that Sean is. There's more additional body fat on different parts of him that make him look much more bulkier than the bruised fighter I'm silently rooting for. Oh my gosh. It slips out before I can stop it. I can't believe Sean's going to fight this monster in the state distance shelter my view of the impact, but the cracking sound and hollering of the crowd is enough to tell me it had the effect he wanted it to. When I finally gather the courage to peek through the cracks in my fingers, my throat tightens at the sight of Scott's body laying flat on his back. Sean is above him already, and we're only minutes into the fight. Although Scott tries to block his punches and defend himself, the weak attempts seem weak and helpless. I can barely watch this scene. Only meters before me, Sean seems to disappear into some kind of robotic machine that specializes in brutally hurting people. I can't control the churning sickness which develops in my tummy at the sight. The impacts Sean's blow have on the fighter leave his face and body covered in dark red blood that only makes me feel even worse than I had before. I now understand why Damien feels so threatened by Sean. He's warrior-like. I can never imagine someone making the sport look as effortless as he does. He almost looks more comfortable in the locked-in caged arena than he does anywhere else I've ever seen him before. There's so much I don't understand about him and his stubborn personality. His childhood is something I would love to know more about, and the scars on him are enough to show anyone that he didn't grow up in the same way most do. I'm sure what makes Sean so fearless when preparing to do something like this. I was terrified before he entered the ring. However, my fears about Sean coming into the fight are now completely erased. It's clear that it's his opponents who I should always fear for. The only blow which Scott manages to land on Sean is one across the side of his nose. It's enough to reopen the gash he'd received from this morning and bring blood back to the surface. If it hurts, Sean doesn't show it, even for a second. Unlike Scott, his face screws in the most horrific way with obvious pain. There are only a few seconds left of the first round. Scott gives in not long after Sean repeatedly connects his knuckles against the side of his head with enough force to make the tank-like man pass out cold on the hard flooring. I'm not sure what's frightened me the most. How easily Sean was able to defeat a man twice his size, or the amount of blood leaving Scott's pale frame. Actually, I think the most terrifying thing of all of this is the way the referee has to physically drag Sean away from his opponent's body. The sight makes me shiver, and I could feel my blood run cold. But the crowd seems to love it because they cheer, as though it's a celebrity standing before them. I notice the smirks quickly disappearing from both Damien and Jack's faces, especially when Sean turns deliberately in their direction. His chest, which is still half purple and covered with swollen bruises, rises and falls with a mixture of both adrenaline and exhaustion. This still doesn't stop the challenging smile which grows on his lips when his eyes meet Jack's darkening pair. Come, Marvin's voice makes me jump from my seat and distracts me from the sight before us. I want to be out of here before the crowd starts leaving. At first, I think he means out of here with the possible hope that he may take me home. But when he begins to head back for the double doors we'd walked through earlier, I realize this isn't the case. The arena is now filled with medics who are at Scott's side in a flash. Eddie has made it to Sean, who still has blood weeping from his nose and across cuts that have reopened on different parts of his body. More girls are also wearing more makeup than clothes, are almost everywhere around the cage. Marvin and I are now walking away from. What surprises me most about the sight is the way Sean's attention focuses on Eddie, who says something to him that I'm not able to hear because of the distance between us. He doesn't even glance at the beautiful women who bat their fake eyelashes obviously at him as he walks past them. Marvin stops walking as soon as we step into the corridor, and I do the same, although much more unsurely, turning slowly when I realize just who he's waiting for. Eddie's smile is clear and large as he walks towards us, but the successful fighter who limps beside him is a little stiffer than before. Marvin's hand grips Eddie's as a token of congratulations, and I have no idea where to look when Sean stops not far from where I'm standing, shirtless and sweaty. His muscles still flex more profoundly than any bodybuilder I've ever seen. My heart is more like an uncontrollable clog that will explode at any given second. It beats so loudly that it's almost the only thing I can hear. It skyrockets when I accidentally make eye contact with him as he steps instructs, following Eddie to the hallway and closing the heavy door behind him, leaving Sean and I trapped in the small room together. His body hunches forward with clear discomfort as he presses the back to the side of his nose. He never complained of being in pain, but I know he must be feeling it now. You're making me feel awkward. Sit down, he instructs. He focuses on pulling the tape from his bruised knuckles instead of looking at me. I swallow at this. The only other bench in the room is directly opposite of him, and although I don't mean to act awkwardly around him, I can't help it. Being here is hard enough, and being around him is even more difficult. Congratulations, but my voice is more like a loud whisper as he roughly discards the strapping on his hands. I sit stiller than I want to, fiddling with my fingers out of nervous habit. I silently pray for Eddie to come back inside the room. I'm not sure whether congratulations is the right thing to say to someone if they nearly kill another person. I'm not even sure what I'm doing sitting across from him like this. He lowers the ice pack from his face again, dropping it on the seat beside him and looking across to me as I shift on the bench for the millionth time. I'm beyond uncomfortable, but I'm sure he's enjoying watching me squirm. I can't believe you beat him. He was the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. I ramble a little when he doesn't answer me the first time, and I immediately want to slam my head back against the wall. This is so weird. I just want to go home. The tension in the air between us is strange, and I don't like being stuck in a room alone with him. He's got a damn good punch. I'll give him that. The huskiness to his voice deepens as his fingers press against the most swollen part of his face. It seems weird that with all of the people who were in the arena, including the model-like girls who clearly wanted his attention, he only has Marvin and Eddie with him rather than a whole posse of people like the other fighters I've seen. I'm only here because I have no way to get home, and I'm certain he feels as weird about it as I do. I'm sure he'd much rather prefer one of his many admirers to be sitting in my position right now. Do you get scared? I asked. What? The tone of his voice changes when he responds to my question, as if I've just asked him something insane. No, of course I don't, he answers soon after, as clipped and blunt as he always is. I would be terrified, I admit quietly, glancing at the door in hopes that either Marvin or Eddie come back in soon. He doesn't answer, and we settle in more uncomfortable silence. I can feel his gaze burning against the side of my cheek when thankfully the door is pulled open again and Marvin offers in a rather rushed tone to drop me off at home. I don't think twice about standing. The way I feel around Sean makes me nervous. So nervous that I can barely breathe properly when I'm anywhere near him. Congratulations again, I offer in a pathetic attempt at goodbye, and he nods. There isn't an ounce of emotion on his face, which shouldn't surprise me anymore. I have never met anyone as confusing or shut off as he is. I know I'm too curious about why that is, but I can't help but be. He really is like a puzzle, with random pieces that just don't seem to fit together like they do on other people. A large part of me can't help but wonder why that is. Surely there's something more to him than he simply refuses to share. I'm sorry. You have been out where? I attempt to step past Georgie, who places a mug of coffee between my half-asleep fingers and refuses to move out of the way. Damien dragged me to the fight. I've already explained this. I didn't choose to go, so please don't make a big deal out of it. Yes, but you don't seem to be complaining about seeing Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome shirtless for the millionth time. She wiggles her eyebrows playfully, adjusting her loose bathrobe. Not that I blame you. He is an incredibly good-looking specimen. My fingers tighten around the mug as I finally manage to step past her, flopping lazily onto the sofa with a grunt of frustration. Why do I have the feeling she's going to make a big deal out of this, even though I asked her not to? What was that for? Anyone would kill to spend 10 minutes with him. The smirk she wears only grows as she squishes down into the seat beside me. He's seriously attractive. I don't know how you can resist him. It's not as difficult as you may think. because as I stand, I want to do something which doesn't involve embarrassing myself any more than I have over the last few days. Alright guys, so that was the end of chapter 19. This chapter was a pretty lengthy one, which is good since it's my first video back after a while. I hope you guys enjoy the next video or book that I'll do a chapter on is titled